Welcome back to the Sports Sesh podcast for our 45th episode. Today joining me is Kevin Crash Croom. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Yourself?
I can't complain, brother. I'm going to jump straight into it. Your nickname, Crash, where did that one come from?
Yeah, my coach James Krause gave it to me because my style's kind of like creating a consistent car crash. Thought it worked pretty well.
But you mentioned James Krause there. That was going to be one of my points during this interview. I think we may as well start off with the main thing to do with that. What's it like training with James day in, day out?
Man, I mean, it's phenomenal. The man's completely changed my life, elevated my game. I love it. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made to move here and work with him.
Well, as we've seen in the past couple of months, and I'd say around a year, Glory MMA have been giving themselves a real name within MMA and the UFC itself, because obviously they've got yourself, Jason Witt, Julian Marquez, who is coming off a good couple of victories after being out for a while. How does it feel knowing that you are surrounded by these top athletes every day?
It's great, man. We have just such a good team environment. You have all these killers in the same room working for the same goals, and that really elevates everybody,
100%. I want to talk about your teammate Julian, as I alluded to a moment ago. Obviously, he's coming off 2 wins now in his last 2 fights, and he was out for a while. And these last 2 fights, I don't think anyone could have asked much more from him. Two wins, 2 submissions. What have you guys at the gym?
Two bonuses too, man. He's killing it.
Indeed. What have you guys made of Julian's performances?
It's spectacular. Having him come to the gym. He's been at the gym for about a year again. He started at Glory and then he moved to Vegas, and he's been back about a year. And his work ethic and everything, it's phenomenal. And he's killing the post-fight interviews too, man. He's all over the news. He's really doing big things, man. I'm super proud of him.
I want to talk about yourself. Obviously, the last time out we seen you, I believe, was against Alex. It didn't go your way. Yep. How was you feeling in the preparation for that fight?
Yeah, man. I had an amazing camp. I felt really good. And then I got in there and like nothing kind of worked, man. I think I got clipped kind of early, and it's kind of like fighting underwater. The shit happens sometimes, and you don't always have your best performances, but it is what it is, and it's always something you can learn from it. And man, I'm ready to get back on the winning track for sure.
When do you next think we can see you back in there?
I don't know yet, man. Hopefully soon. I'm ready to go. So as soon as I get the call, I'm in.
I want to go back to your UFC debut against Roosevelt Roberts. Obviously, I literally watched it again about 30 minutes ago in preparation for this. It was a 30-second submission for yourself, but obviously that got overturned. Before we talk about it getting overturned, how was winning your UFC debut?
Oh man, it was a dream come true. Spectacular. I worked 13 years to get there, and I got the opportunity on a day's notice, and I went in there, and I think I probably could have beat anybody in front of me that day, and it was perfect, man.
As I mentioned, it did get overturned, and I was reading up on it a moment ago. I believe it was for cannabis, was it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I know. I've seen a few states removing the cannabis from their prohibited list. Do you think more states are going to follow suit and do that in the future?
Yeah, man. I hope so. The thing about that is it's legal in Nevada. Like you can buy it legally, So it's complete garbage that happened. But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do it because that's how they're getting money. I had to pay them like $2,000 in fines. Like they're making money off of this. So like nobody wants less money in their pocket. So, I don't know, man. I hope so. I can't believe that, like you can't smoke weed and fist fight in Vegas when you can buy weed legally there. Like it blows my mind, but it is what it is,
Let's talk before UFC. How did you get the contract with the organization?
I put like a 4 fight win streak, 3 or 4 fight win streak together, and I had a good fight, a good title fight on FAC, which is on Fight Pass, and I know Sean Shelby and a few other people were watching it, and man, it just all worked out.
100%, man. Have you got any names in mind that you'd like to fight in the future?
Man, I'll fight anybody. Like it doesn't matter to me. Whoever wants to get it can get it. Yeah, man. I don't know. I think I'll probably go down to 35 unless it's something short notice. So I mean, man, I'm not really sure. I'm the type of guy that my coaches and my management say whatever. I've never turned a fight down. I say yes to everything. I'm a anyone, anywhere, anytime type of guy. So anyone, whatever.
That's the type of fighter I love to see. Anyone, anywhere, anytime. I've just literally spoken to another UFC athlete moments ago, and then point I was bringing up with them is weight cutting. How have your weight cuts been in the past? Have you ever had any particular difficult weight cuts?
I mean, yeah, man, cutting to 35 isn't fun. It's not fun, but I've never had the money to get a nutritionist. I mean, like until now. So I feel like I was doing it all on my own, making it extra hard on myself. And I feel like now with, the right nutrition and the right people behind me, it'll be a lot easier.
100%, man. I want to go back to the beginning of your career. How did you first get involved within the sport of mixed martial arts?
Man, it was something I always wanted to do. Like I remember being 15, I never watched a UFC fight, didn't know what MMA was. I just knew there was something called Ultimate Fighting, and I was like, man, that's what I want to do, And here I am, I like ran into a kid. I was working graveyard at a gas station, and a kid I beat up in high school came in telling me he was a cage fighter. And I was like, well, can you get me a fight? And he said he could. And I had my first amateur fight the next week. And here we are 14 years later.
What out of all the disciplines that make up mixed martial arts, which one is your favorite?
I mean, I love jiu-jitsu for sure. But I mean, striking's fun too, man. Like that's the thing. That's the beauty of MMA is you don't have to pick. You can do it all, And like that, I think the mix, the blend, is what I love the most. Being able to drop somebody with your hands and choke them out. It's beautiful.
100%. I want to talk a couple more things before we end today. Obviously, you've mentioned we don't know when you're going to see, but is there a month or time frame that you'd like to be back in there by?
I mean, I'd like to fight next week if I could, whenever. I mean, yeah, man, the sooner the better. I'm not trying to wait around, I'm 33, like right now is my time to make my moment. I'm in my prime, so I'm trying to get all the names I can under my belt,
For those fans that aren't too familiar with yourself, how would you describe your fighting style?
Car crash, baby. Crash Croom. Let's go.
I know last year you fought on both Bellator and the UFC. How, obviously, with Bellator, obviously, they're behind closed doors like the UFC. How had both companies taken the precautions with COVID leading up to the events?
Man, I fought for Bellator like a week before the shutdown. So I don't know about that. Like they had full fans and everything. So I don't know. I mean, the UFC has done a spectacular job. They've been the only big organization that's steady put on fights. They've really been a leader in it. And I mean, yeah, it's kind of lame to jump through hoops and not have fans there. But I mean, whatever you have to do to get a paycheck, I'm down,
Obviously, we're starting to see the UFC now having events with the fans, and it looks like pay-per-views are the only ones at the moment. Obviously, we've got next weekend up UFC 262 in Texas, I believe. Are you looking for your next fight to be on the pay-per-view card at all with the fans?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I want the fans back. I mean, I don't mind it in the Apex. It's cool. It's calm. There's not everybody screaming, but yeah, man, I definitely want the fans back for sure.
100%. How would you describe your career so far within MMA? Because obviously you've had quite a few fights already.
Yeah. Man, I think I've probably taken the longest, hardest road of anybody in the sport. I don't know if that's true, but I started out with no training as an amateur. Like I said, I took my first fight on a week's notice, hadn't trained at all, I wrestled a little bit in high school, but other than that, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just a kid that liked to fight, you know. And I've made it. I made it to the top of the sport. I fought in 7 different countries. I've been all over the world. You know, I think I've experienced just about everything the sport has to offer. And I mean, I'm pretty proud of that. You know.
100%, man. I've just got a couple more things before we end it. Obviously, you've said you love jiu-jitsu, you love the striking, but which is the most important factor in MMA that you've got to have in terms of the physical aspect?
You mean like as far as like cardio or
Cardio, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting because like standing in the ground are totally different cardios, you know. So like you can be really good, you can have a lot of good stand-up cardio and then start hitting the ground, and it's a lot different. Like I said before, the mix is what blasts you, you know. I mean, I think wrestling's probably the hardest thing to do, the hardest sport, you know. So definitely, like, you know, I mean, the ground wrestling is probably the roughest thing, the thing you have to have the most cardio for. But you gotta be good everywhere, you know.
I think you've had 34 professional MMA fights, I believe. Do you consider yourself almost a vet of the game already?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man, I'd say so. I fought in literally like every promotion there is, minus one. You know, I mean, I've been all over the world. I fought some of the biggest stars in the sport. You know, like yeah, yeah, man, I'd say so. But I'm still also learning everything every time, man. That's the thing about MMA is like every fight's totally different. You know, like uh and I mean, maybe that's the thing I love the most about it is you never know exactly how it's going to go. You know, like it's always different no matter how long you've done it.
What's the favorite place? Well, what is your favorite place that mixed martial arts is taking you?
I went to Tokyo. I went to Japan. I got to fight in Shudo, which I mean, it's a dream come true. I remember being a little kid watching samurai movies and ninja movies, you know, wanting to go to Japan. So, like, I mean, that was awesome.
Mentally and physically, those two things are huge factors within MMA. And I'm also interested in finding out fighters' perspective, which is more important. Would you say the mental or the physical aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that like training is 95% physical and 5% mental, and I'd say fighting is 95% mental and 5% physical. You know, so like it's a big juxtaposition. You know, like where I mean, you have to have both. I've come in and not have my mind right and have my cardio right and not done well, and I've come in and not have my cardio right and my mind right and done great. So like you got to have both for sure. But yeah, man, I mean, the mental preparation for a fight is probably the most important, you know.
We mentioned that you've had 34 pro MMA fights. Out of those 34 fights, which has been your toughest?
Oh man, I fought this kid like Razul Mirev, I believe his name is, in Dagestan. And I mean, the kid was a beast. Like when I fought him, he was 15-0. The only reason like he's not in the UFC is because he actually killed a guy and went to Russian prison. So they can't get a visa, and they ended up like turning it into manslaughter and letting him out. The man's an absolute beast. He's a gangster. Yeah, man, I'd say that's been my toughest fight for sure.
I just want to talk about the UFC fights that are coming up in the coming weeks and months. Obviously, next week, like I mentioned, we've got UFC 262 in Vegas. The lightweight title's on the line in that one. Do you have a prediction for that fight?
Man, that's a really interesting fight. It's a really interesting fight. I think Chandler probably gets it done, but I mean, I could see it. I could see it being a really tough fight for him. You know.
100%. And as an Englishman myself, I want to get your opinion on the Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz fight, which has been moved to UFC 263. How do you see that going?
Uh, I mean, I love Nate. I love Nate for sure. But yeah, man, I don't see him winning. I mean, he totally can for sure. He's a dog. He's a bad man. But yeah, I mean, I think Leon probably does it.
If you could give a piece of advice to someone starting out in MMA, what would it be?
Find a good gym. Find people that care about you. Show up every day and work your ass off.
Couldn't agree more, man. I'm supposed to be, I think in July, I could be potentially having my first amateur fight. So I totally agree with you there. A good gym is the base of what needs to be done when starting out in MMA. Just a couple of more things. Do you have any sponsors or shout outs that you want to give before we end today?
Shout out to my management team, Iridium Sports, Jason House, Joe Wooster, obviously Glory MMA, James Krause, he is the man. My buddy Grant Dawson, and yeah, man, that's probably it.
Like you mentioned, Grant and James, I think I've spoken to a couple of guys from your gym now, yourself, Jason Witt. So I'm sure I'd get those guys on the podcast soon. But before we go, how can people find yourself on social media?
Kevin Croom _UFC. I'm pretty sure that's me on everything. So
100%, man. Kevin, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
For sure, man. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on.
Take care, brother.
Right on, man. You too. Thanks.